Welcome to Daily Wisdom from the Flippening podcast. These episodes feature short, to-the-point clips from our full-length interviews. We talk to the men and women behind the trades, crypto exchanges, and regulations with the goal of helping you become a better, more informed investor.
Hi, I'm Michael Kaplan, editor of the Flippening podcast. Today's episode is from a 2017 conversation with Taylor Pearson, entrepreneur and author of The End of Jobs. We discuss why it's unwise to consider blockchain and cryptocurrencies in terms of existing business models or products. For the full conversation, check out Flippening episode 4. And now, without further ado, our conversation with Taylor Pearson, entrepreneur and author of The End of Jobs. Enjoy.
You know, we always talk about, you're trying to explain someone asks you what Bitcoin is or what Ethereum is or what cryptocurrency is, and you try to find analogies to things they understand. So Bitcoin is digital gold, and you can kind of explain that it's a store of value, but it's got some advantages over gold, like it's a little bit easier, or it's a lot easier to transfer, it's potentially easier to store, it's more highly divisible, etc. But those analogies can sometimes be misleading. So in the case of the internet, right, we kind of tend to project our current understanding of how an industry works and just assume that this new technology is going to be, like that, but just more of it. So, you used to read your Wall Street Journal by opening up the newspaper, and the internet came along and it was kind of like, oh, cool. Now we can read all the same publications we already like, but they'll be, I just open a browser and I can read them online. And of course, kind of like the real story of media on the internet ended up being social media, right? It was this totally new business model that was facilitated by the internet, that all of a sudden, Facebook is the largest media company in the world, and it has no editorial team. It has no goods. It doesn't have any cost of goods, really. It doesn't produce anything itself. It's just a platform for people interacting. So I think thinking about those sorts of possibilities with the blockchain, we talk about what's going to be possible, and our sort of tendency is to think of it in terms of, this is, digital gold. It's going to be just like gold, but it's going to be, on the blockchain, or it's going to be digital. And so one of the ideas from this article was a better analogy for the blockchain is actually mechanical time. So a lot of historians think that mechanical time was such a big deal because all of a sudden, for the first time in history, you could accurately measure and so put into a contract how much time you're giving to someone else, right? So we think about, the 8-hour workday, or, you work 40 hours a week, or, you track your time if you're a contractor maybe, and you send that to your employer. It allowed for people, that probably led to some of the decrease in slavery and indentured servitude. All of a sudden, you could form a contract around this measurable quantity. You could all of a sudden measure, how much time I'm sacrificing 8 hours of my day for someone. They know that, I know that, because we're able to track it with this clock. And sort of opened up all these new business models, like potentially kind of like laid the groundwork for the industrial revolution. So if you think about the blockchain as a ledger, or cryptocurrencies as being composed of all these ledgers, all of a sudden they let us track all these things, which we've just never been able to track before. So like one interesting one to me is the Brave browser supported by the basic attention token, which is this idea that all of a sudden we can now measure attention, right? You can see how much attention you're giving to someone, and that's quantifiable. And there's never really been a technology, there's never been a way to quantify or track how much attention you were giving someone and then convert that into sort of like a, tradable resource. So yeah, I think for me, it was mostly just like, okay, let's start to think about, yes, this is going to let us do, the blockchain is going to let us do a lot of things we're already doing in a more efficient way. And that's important, and that's going to make a big impact. But I think, in 20 or 30 or 50 years, when we're looking back on this and saying, what's the really, really big story? It's going to be the creation of these new business models that we didn't even know existed. That probably, no one, or, very, very few people alive right now have even imagined or possible.
I think that's spot on. It's worth noting that every single major internet company was created native to the internet. So Amazon, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Airbnb, like all of these companies were started after the birth of the internet. There hasn't, to my knowledge, been a single company that existed before the birth of the internet that ended up implementing a business model that made it a significant player in the space, right? Because they were all doing exactly what you described with newspapers. They were just creating online analogs to something that existed offline prior to that. And I think that's the number one mistake that people make when they're looking at blockchain use cases is they're looking for analogs of things that they like now. So they're looking for, Amazon AWS on the blockchain and Google Cloud Compute for the blockchain and, what's AdWords for the blockchain. And perhaps they're missing the point. I believe that the most compelling use cases probably haven't reared their heads yet. And so if you're looking for analogs to things in order to validate this new technology, you probably could be missing out on, one of the biggest shifts in technology in your lifetime.
That's it for today. If you like what you heard and want to support the show, please consider leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you decide to leave us a review after subscribing, we'll send you a free Nomics t-shirt. Just hit us up on Twitter at username Nomics Finance after you've left the review, and we'll hook you up. You may also be interested in Nomics.com, our crypto market cap and pricing website. Check us out at Nomics.com, spelled Nomics. Now stick around for our legal disclaimer. All opinions expressed by podcast hosts or guests are solely their own opinion and do not reflect the opinion of Nomics or any other company. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be relied upon as the basis for investment decisions. The producers, hosts, and guests of the show may maintain positions in the companies or assets discussed today.